Jai Radha Madhava Kunjabi Jai Radha Madhava Kunjabi Gopi Janava Yuri Bhajani Gopi Janava Jai Gopi Jana Balaba Shri Bhajani Gopi Jana Shri Bhajani Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodhanandana Yasodhanandana Vrajajaranjana Yasodhanandana Vrajajaranjana Yasodhanandana Vrajajaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Madhava Kunjabi Jai Radha Madhava Kunjabi Jai Radha Madhava Kunjabi Gopi Jana Baba Gopi Jana Baba Jaya Gopi Jana Baba Gopi Jana Radha
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayam Udiraye.
Tato Jayam Udiraye.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we first offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and Srila Vyasadeva, the author, by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, by rendering service to the pure devotees. All that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed to practically nil, and thus loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental hymns, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Let's see, today we're reading from
Nectar of Devotion.
the Nectar of Devotion, where the Nectar of Devotion comes from, the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's the 28th sloka. However, it was reported to me that we didn't read one sloka. That was text number 22 through 23, since there was, we assumed because there was no purport there, it just failed to get put on the board. So I'm going to go back to that, and I'm going to read through those slokas real quick and bring us up to the 28th chapter. Remember, Arjuna is lamenting because he's lost Krishna and all of his prowess has went away. So text number 22 and 23. Orajam Twajanu Krishtanam Suridam Nasu Rit Pure Vipra Sapa Vimudanam Nignatam Mushtibira Mitaha Varunyam Mariram Pitwa Madon Matita Chetasam Ajanatam Ivanyonyam Chitur Pancha Vasesitaha. O King, since you have asked me about our friends and relatives in the city of Dwarka, I will inform you that all of them were cursed by the Brahmanas. And as a result, they have become intoxicated with wine, made of putrefied rice, and fought among themselves with sticks, not even recognizing one another. Now, all but 4 or 5 of them are dead and gone. The next text leading up to 28. Factually, this is all due to the supreme will of the Lord, the personality of Godhead. Sometimes people kill one another, and at other times they protect one another. O King, as in the ocean, the bigger and stronger aquatics swallow up the smaller and weaker ones, so also the supreme personality of Godhead, to lighten the burden of the earth, has engaged the stronger Yadu to kill the weaker and the bigger Yadu to kill the smaller. Now, I am attracted to those instructions imparted to me by the personality of Godhead Govinda, because they are impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space. Text number 28. Please repeat. Sutu Vacha.
Sutu Vacha.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Sahardena Tigadena.
Sahardena Tigadena.
Santa Siddhi Malamati.
Santa Siddhi Malamati.
Sutavacha.
Sutavacha.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Sahardena Tigadena.
Sahardena Tigadena.
Shanta Siddhi Malamati.
Shanta Siddhi Malamati.
Sutavacha.
Sutavacha.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Sahardena Tigadena.
Sahardena Tigadena.
Shanta Siddhi Malamati.
Shanta Siddhi Malamati.
Sutta Uvacha.
Sutta Uvacha.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Sauhardena Tikantena.
Sauhardena Tigadena.
Santa Siddhi Malamati.
Santa Siddhi Malamati. Sutta Uvacha.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Sahardena Tigadena.
Sauhardena Tigadena.
Siddhi Malamati.
Santa Siddhi Malamati. Sutta Uvacha. Sutta Uvacha. Evam Chintayato Jishno. Evam Chintayato Jishno. Krishna Pada Sororuham. Krishna Pada Sororuham. Sauhardena Tigadena. Sauhardena Tigadena. Santa Siddhi Malamati. Santa Siddhi Malamati.
Sutta Uvacha.
Sutta Uvacha.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Sauhardena Tigadena.
Sauhardena Tigadena.
Shanta Siddhi Malamati.
Santa Siddhi Malamati.
Sutta Uvacha.
Sutta Uvacha.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Sauhardena Tigadena.
Sauhardena Tigadena.
Santa Siddhi Malamati.
Santa Siddhi Malamati.
Sutta Uvacha.
Sutta Uvacha.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Sauhardena Tigadena.
Sauhardena Tigadena.
Santa Siddhi Malamati.
Santa Siddhi Malamati.
Sutta Uvacha.
Sutta Uvacha.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Evam Chintayato Jishno.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Krishna Pada Sororuham.
Sauhardena Tigadena.
Sauhardena Tigadena.
Shanta Siddhi Malamati.
Shanta Siddhi Malamati.
Anyone else? Sutta Uvacha. The Sutta Goswami said, Evam, thus, Chintayaha, while thinking of the instructions, Jishno, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishnapada, the feet of Krishna, Saroruham, resembling lotuses, Sahadena, by deep friendship, Atigadena, in great intimacy, Shanta, pacified, Asit, it so became, Vimala, without any tinge of material contamination. Mati, mind. Srila Prabhupada's translation, please repeat. Sutta Goswami said, thus being deeply absorbed in thinking of the instructions of the Lord, which were imparted in great intimacy of friendship, and in thinking of his lotus feet, Arjuna's mind became pacified, and free from all material contamination. Sutta Goswami said, while being deeply absorbed in thinking of the instructions of the Lord, which were imparted in great intimacy of friendship, and in thinking of his lotus feet, Arjuna's mind became pacified and free from all material contamination. The divine purport of His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, He, since the Lord is absolute, deep meditation upon Him is as good as yogic trance. The Lord is none different from His name, form, quality, pastime, entourage, and Srila Prabhupada says something a little different here. Instead of paraphernalia, he uses this term, pacific action. Y'all can meditate on that and see what you think he means. And pacific actions. He did take a pacific action when he spoke the Bhagavad Gita. So many times he took pacific actions. Arjuna began to think of the Lord's instructions to him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only those instructions began to eliminate the tinges of material contamination in the mind of Arjuna. The Lord is like the sun, and the sun's appearance means immediate dissipation of darkness or ignorance. And the Lord's appearance within the mind of the devotee can at once drive away the miserable material effects. Lord Chaitanya has therefore recommended constant chanting of the name of the Lord for protection from all contamination of the material world. The feeling of separation from the Lord is undoubtedly painful to the devotee, but because it is in connection with the Lord, it has a pacific transcendental effect which pacifies the heart. Feelings of separation are also sources of transcendental bliss. and they are never comparable to contaminated material feelings of separation. Thus ends the purport to the 28th sloka of the 15th chapter of the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Pandavas Ritaya Kanda. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So His Divine Grace makes the point that feelings of separation from the Lord are never comparable to material feelings of separation. For example, just this morning I heard one person who was lamenting greatly because they had lost a dear companion that they had spent so much time with for the past 13 years, and he had shown them some sort of unconditional love, always being there when they got home and jumping up and down as little doggies do. And they were feeling so many pains of separation, and I hear this and see it often concerning people with their pets. I mean, after all, the pet is a living entity, and pet has become dear to us because of its dependence and how fulfilling its needs. And, therefore there's some bond of love, some bond of dependence. That entity is dependent, and because it's dependent and receiving its needs from us, it shows genuine gratification, generally speaking, and in different ways. But generally, dogs and cats and other entities are pretty good at gratifying the senses of their masters. Nowadays, you even see people who raise up baby lions and tigers from the time they are born, and because that creature has been dependent upon them, even though by nature they are carnivorous. Is that the right word?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what their food is the flesh of other mammals. And so, because the human being has acted like its mother throughout its life, and its father, I don't know if tigers and lions have much of a relationship with their father. The father is generally live at a distance. They're usually raised by the pride, the mothers within a group of big cats. And so, because that human has treated them and acted like that, then you always see these pictures in different places where there's some human being hugging a big cat, whether it be a lion or a tiger, and sometimes sleeping on its belly and stuff like that. So, but when that creature passes away, because they only live maybe a third or a fourth of a human being's life, if that long, a person may feel some pain of separation, with to speak of its a very dear human relative. A father or a mother or a spouse or a child or a dear aunt or uncle or a very dear friend. But these feelings are never, ever, ever to be compared to feelings of separation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although, we may be at a distance, and God knows for how many lives, and we may not even have much of a relationship. It's speaking about how a devotee feels in separation from the Lord. So in the course of becoming a devotee, naturally we build up some feeling, some sentiment, some appreciation for the Lord, just like we do for all those other loving relationships that we possess. So we cannot compare the Lord's relationship with that of other creatures, because all those other relationships are bonding us. to this type of world, in this type of body. Inevitably, because of the force of our attraction, it's the law of attraction, and it's the law of association. We are forcing ourselves. It's also the law of desire. It's our desire bringing us to our next body. Denos smanyata dehe kaumaram yoganam jara tata dehantara prati. We will certainly take another body like that. So, is a civilized human being who has gotten some education on spiritual matters or matters concerning what happens at the time of death, on philosophical matters concerning the self, then it behooves us to develop that relationship with Krishna so that it can overcome, it can become greater than the relationships that we share in this world. Because those relationships in this world, they bond us to this world. Those creatures all had that type of relationship with us when they left. Perhaps the pet, of course they're in a mechanical cycle. They just can't automatically come back as a human being. They have to advance to whatever the next stage is according to the laws of nature. However, if it was a devotee that they had a relationship with and they were getting prasadam, hearing the holy name, they may get a human birth. It's quite possible that they'll actually leap over all the other forms of life that they would have had to take and assume the opportunity of getting a human birth, which is the greatest opportunity. And we may wonder why. Why is it such an opportunity? Because after all, we suffer from the time we're conceived. We suffer coming out of the womb of our mother. We suffer from the time we struggle for oxygen. And throughout our babyhood and childhood, we have to work hard to get anywhere, even to walk. And then what to speak of if we're diseased in some way or another. We suffer. And then we suffer to become educated. We have to work hard just to gain some facility in order to render some service in this world so that we can maintain ourselves. And those that we make create a relationship with and progeny with, that we have to support. So we have to work hard to do that. Day in and day out. And there's so much suffering involved. Until the time we retire, and then we have to suffer through, old age and try to either practice our spiritual life or catch up our spiritual life if we have not only the know-how, but just the inspiration. I mean, most people, they're trying to retire and enjoy the things in life they felt they missed, like maybe not getting to see many things, or, so many recreational types of things that perhaps they didn't have as much of an opportunity for, but still, mundane things that, people enjoy. They're not inclined spiritually, unfortunately, those types of people. So still there's suffering. And then even if we renounce everything, there's suffering. Or what to speak about the fag end of life, when there's so much suffering, where the body actually hurts more. Just like a lot of times we have some pain and it hurts. So what to speak about when the whole body just hurts, is, Srila Prabhupada himself exemplified, getting leg cramps, being crammed up, not being able to eat, feeling so many pains. in the head, in the ear, all the way throughout the body. So there's always suffering, and yet we say this is an opportunity. It's actually the greatest opportunity. Because if we got what we wanted, and we might, and we've had it before, then we're sitting in the heavenly planets with the spouse of our greatest imagination. And we're enjoying life together with the best of children that grow up and support us, are always there for us at a moment's notice, ready to fulfill the needs of our beckoning, and never growing old, but always enjoying our intimate relationship with all of our associates in a world that is sublime. Fruits that are so big that they make rivers of mango juice. And we can go where we like at the power of our mind and listen to the best of music. Everything constantly available for our gratification. That is not always an auspicious place for self-realization because of the tendency to enjoy. We don't have an inclination for it. By the way, it's those inclinations that keep us in this world. Because that's, the nature of the mind is its habit. The habits that we make become our inclinations. So in this world, a human being has the opportunity, understanding the suffering, that we should transcend the world of birth and death, which includes the very nice places that if I really want to gratify my senses, I can have that opportunity. But, I have to be very careful and intelligent because it's a tricky affair. I take that opportunity and I'll find myself right back here one day. And, it will come just like that. As I'm enjoying there in that heavenly planet, then suddenly the garland I'm wearing will fade. And down I go. Without even having known that I was getting old and dying. Because I didn't get old. It was up, the time was up. And I just didn't know the time was up. And suddenly I had to come back to the world of the mortals to work under the control of who I once was in the heavenly sphere, some deva who, manipulates the lives of the mortal beings. So, we don't want to, if we're intelligent enough, we see that there's an opportunity to go even beyond those worlds where there is none of this birth and death, where I don't have to worry about coming back to a world of hardship. And instead, I can remain always in a body that's constantly full of bliss. In fact, the Sanskrit word uses ananda, and it refers to what the body is made of. It is made of this element called ananda, or bliss. And it's made of sat, or eternality, and cognizance, chit. And that's what composes the body. And that body is far superior to the celestial bodies. It never grows old. Its garland never fades. And the relationship with Krishna is constant. We constantly get to enjoy the face of Krishna. Just like, yogis in trance is the example. And the example that was given in the purport by Srila Prabhupada is that hearing about the Absolute is as good as yogic trance, because they are completely transcendental. The name and fame and form of the Absolute Truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is none different from His names and forms and pastimes, etc. And so to meditate on them is as good as yogic trance. But, for us, it's initially a practice before it becomes in any way a little spontaneous. And again, it's, we're hearing about and we're meditating on it. And we may see pictures or movies. We may hear other people espousing those glories. If we're fortunate, we can listen to Srila Prabhupada do that. Or we may even be able to read the teachings of previous acharyas, including the direct disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We may be even able to hear about Mahaprabhu's incarnation, which is specifically for us. Acting like a human being who himself became a devotee, although born in a devotee family, was completely absorbed in his varna, an ashram which was not an ashram of renunciation, but was completely absorbed as a scholar, a professor, a teacher, and had many, many dependent students, and had 2 wives, no children by the arrangement of Providence. One died early, and the other, ran into Krishna Bhakti. Lord Chaitanya became a devotee and lost interest in everything material. Became a pure devotee. Became a person only interested in devotional service and no longer in his material dharma. So, we can hear about all that and meditate on it. And when to speak of the gopis, or the residents of Vaikuntha, or the residents of Krishna Loka, or whether it be Dwarka, Mathura, or Vrindavan, where they see the Lord, they touch the Lord, they hear the Lord. So, you can imagine the extent of their meditation or their feelings of separation. I mean, the gopis are feeling separation because they can't go with Krishna during the day. During the day, they have to remember him and chant his glories while doing all the things they do in their cowherd village. Milking cows and processing milk and, whatever else they do, sewing clothes and decorating the house and cleaning and so many other things that they may do. But they do this while remembering Krishna because they're feeling separation. Why? Because they know what he looks like and they can't get him out of their mind. Can't get him out of their mind. And they can't wait for that time of union. And they're just waiting for it to come back. Just like we may wait for something like that. We're waiting for something. And you're waiting and you're going to get it, but you just, those expectations, they bring you all sorts of, desire. You're just waiting for that moment. So they're waiting for the night to come. When everybody goes to bed and Krishna slips out and plays on his flute. And then they go running. And again they get to be with him, for an unlimited amount of time, in our estimation. Unlimited amount of time, because there is no time in those worlds. And so the time goes on as long as Krishna wants the time to go on, until the stage changes and his Leela changes. And again he's in bed and Mother Yasoda is waking him and dressing him. And some of the boys come over and they're helping to dress him. And, Radharani will come over and help to cook for him. So all these pastimes in the spiritual world are, most attractive. And we have a body that's most suitable. Never is there worry of like birth or death, old age or disease. These things, they don't exist. They're not really for real. They only are real in the world of illusion. It's called a world of illusion because they don't really exist. It has nothing to do with the soul. It has everything to do with identifying with the illusion of their existence. Krishna makes it so real. It's his Mahamaya. It's his Maya, his energy. It's so potent. You can imagine, it's a universe with layers and layers of elements that's inescapable. No jail has ever been created that is inescapable except for one of these universes. They are inescapable. They are so extensive and thick with elements that cannot be pierced. And inside of each one of them, the Lord arranges for creation that is so vast that a little bitty entity like ourselves cannot find the end of it. It's like world after world after world after world. It's like, a kid going to Disneyland or Universal Studios, and it seems like there's just unending entertainment. So this universe is like that. It's unending entertainment for the little conditioned soul. It's amazing that in a contaminated condition, meaning that our mind is contaminated with all this entertainment of material life, that simply by remembering the instructions of the Lord, as Arjuna heard from the mouth of Krishna in the form of the Lord's Gita, Bhagavad Gita, that this illusion melts away, and that human beings can live in a society of Vaishnavas, devotees of the Lord, who constantly understand that the real thing in life is to really hear about the Lord's instructions, to chant those instructions, that those instructions somehow or other, they just dissipate the darkness of illusion, of all of those desires for entertainment, all of those relationships with earthly beings of illusion, whether they be mammals, birds, insects, other human beings, or even Devas, Gandharvas, Siddhas, Charanas, or Asuras, Rakshasas, for those who, enjoy in that capacity. So that is what Srila Prabhupada brought to our part of the world. Otherwise, theologically, we certainly had our voluminous number of books full of gyan, or speculative knowledge on how to again link with God, genuinely through the saving grace of someone who has sacrificed to save us. But to put it into practice has always been the difficult thing. So Srila Prabhupada came to give us a practice, based on the chanting of Krishna's names and remembrance of his pastimes, his attributes, etc. And by doing, the contamination goes away to the extent that we can recognize it's just a big illusion. It's really not real. It doesn't have substance. It's not the important thing when it comes time for taking the exam. We may get all the questions right about the things in this world. But if we don't get it right about where we want to go, then we just go to the next classroom in this world. Until one day, and Krishna says it's very rare that one realizes it, it's very rare, we realize that this is just an illusion. And it's not the right answer at the time of death. The right answer is just Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya's disciples couldn't even understand that. when he became a devotee and all he was talking about was Krishna, they just couldn't get it. What are you doing? I mean, we're in this world. We have to learn geography. We have to learn whatever our occupation is and how to do it. That's Varnashram. Why are you just telling us about Krishna? How is it that Krishna is the verb root of every, Sanskrit verb? Why are you speaking like this? You didn't speak like this before. You were the most profound scholar on earth. You embarrassed every other scholar. You could manipulate logic so greatly. And here you are, just talking about the Murti. So even they couldn't get it. Until the day they got it, when the Lord somehow was able to impress upon them his Sankirtan movement. And they all became, strong devotees who, never forgot Krishna's names. And they either went home and did their business and remembered Krishna, or they went to the forest and remembered Krishna. Whatever they did, they just remembered Krishna. And became, after all, they are his eternal associates. That was, how could they have been his student? Do we think anybody gets to be the student of Nimai Pandit? If we're lucky, we'll get to be the student in our next life. We could even be the baby that he comes and squirts water in our ears and gives us an earache on purpose. So, that's how we actually enter into the Leela of the Lord. So, getting late, before everybody starts to vacate, I'll stop and ask if there's any comment or question.
I have a question. I heard my Guru Maharaj say that how important it is to take the opportunity, as you were saying, to get out. Because also there's the time factor of the heavenly realm, that we know the pastime of when Lord Brahma stole the cows and the calves. It was just, practically a moment in his time, but a whole year on earth. So he was making the point that now the windows, the doors to the spiritual world are open. So we have to take advantage of that, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, because if you get stuck up in the heavenly planets, there's every possibility that when you fall back down here, how hellish it's going to be. And the 11th canto talks about how horrible it will be.
What's the possibility of falling back into when Lord Chaitanya's movement's on the planet? It's only on the planet for 15,000 Earth years out of a whole day of Brahma. And Lord Chaitanya's movement, when he's teaching about Radha and Krishna like this, I don't know if it's in a year, once in a year of Brahma, not just a day. Otherwise, he's generally propagating Sankirtan, but not always speaking about the intimate pastimes of the Madhurya Rasa. So it's such a rare time. And it doesn't come very often that certainly if we don't join up and we, continue our exploits in the material world, then, God knows where we're going from there. It's just like unlimited, it's like those gambling things where, you hope to get the right slot when you pull the thing, but there's just so many that it very seldom comes up to one that's the winner. So, we have, hardly any opportunity of coming back to this Sankirtan movement. It's just, there's just no possibility of it, practically speaking. So this opportunity is simply miraculous. And somehow ever, by Prabhupada's grace, and whomever else was there to help us, that we get some attraction for it, and some faith, and build up our devotion, join up, so to speak, and join in. And then everything becomes possible for me.
So I didn't quite understand your answer. What exactly are you saying? You say that we will not come back if we don't make it back to the spiritual world. We will not come back here.
We might not. We will come back to the material world, but we might not come back to the Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement that's going on today for the next 10,000 years. It's only 10,000 years. It's going. When you're in the
So
heavenly
we might
planet,
come back even much later.
Yeah. I mean, Kali Yuga may even be over. You may come back in a Satya Yuga. Who knows? I mean, you can come back in any universe at any time. Whatever's right and right for our karma, that's where we end up. That depends on our karma. But again, devotees, they have this special karma, where Krishna is, always helping you to take up where you left off in devotional service, and he's always providing what we lack and maintaining what we already have. So I mean, devotees are special, even if we don't come back to this Sankirtan movement, or somehow the Lord makes an arrangement in another universe to come into his Sankirtan movement. I mean, the Lord can do anything. So, but again, we just, we have to have faith in the Lord, because he's the director of the show. So, but just considering it from a logical point of view, there's not a lot of chance to again join in this Sankirtan movement, because, gee, it's just a little bit of time out of a vast amount of time. So the Lord is ever merciful and most benevolent, and always takes care of everyone, but especially his devotees. So, if we just, becoming a devotee and trying our best to be a devotee, then we have to have strong and sound faith that, the Lord's protective hand is always there for us, and he's going to help us even through our greatest difficulty or our greatest ambitions in life and our greatest devotional needs. The Lord will actually be most merciful. That's his nature, to be merciful, and we're just so lucky to have met this line of disciplic succession, this fantastic school of thought, and to have become, one of their students, and we will derive, all the benefits of having done so. Srila Prabhupada, one more thing.
Yeah, I have a question. We hear so much, we hear all this. Srila Prabhupada has come to give us this message, but yet somehow, right after we hear it, we again go back to same old, same old. We are not very serious about this process. Why is that so?
It's attachment. It starts real subtle with the mind. We can take the mind's ability in a new BTG. Chaitanya Chandra has a nice article in Sharan, yeah, and he says that the mind has the tendency to label. We're always labeling people, and it's not a very good thing, because we may label, Dr. Lakshmi in one way, or Mother Haridwani in one way, or Mother Kalina in one way, or Speaker, or Lunga Ganesh. We may label them according to some specific characteristics that we tend to focus upon. Oh, and we may put that label on people, and that's not a very good thing. Why? Because people are very complex, and there's actually a lot more to them than just the label was put on them. So we can take that tendency to label things, and we can label our own mind. Instead of labeling others, we should label our mind. And then we know. Instead of identifying with the mind, we start to identify the mind. Oh, it's just the mind. It's acting like it always does, And then from there it makes 3 other points how we can learn to control the mind and make it our friend. And that way we can change these habits or inclinations, to devotional habits. And that way then it'll be a little bit, less frequent that we make those material trips. But I mean, we always, all of it is to, various degrees until we, really become like Rupa Sanatana Goswami. We tend to, after there's a great emphasis and a lot of association, we walk out the door and we become involved in whatever our dharma is or whatever our needs are, and you get all wrapped up in the world. People, we get wrapped up in what's going on politically, we certainly get wrapped up economically, we get wrapped up in our family affairs, and we take all of it seriously. We get wrapped up in our health, don't we? I mean, golly, of course. I mean, who can ignore it? I mean, you have to be some yogi or something. So we get all wrapped up. So, but we can learn to take better control of it, through the practice of yoga, which means, controlling the mind and senses and fixing them on Krishna. So that article in the new BTG, it's a pretty nice, simple article. It gives a good hints at, how to do that, how to manipulate our mind in a way that we can make it our friend, rather than simply identifying with it, doing as it misleads us to do.
That devotee is really expert at, he studied different self-help techniques, like management seminars like that, and then Krishna, obviously, he's so expert.
He's pretty good. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada.